Jack Kevorkian devoted his life to death. As a practicing pathologist, he studied corpses. And in 1989, he introduced his Rube Goldberg-like suicide machine, where pushing a button delivers 3 chemicals in sequence, the last one lethal. Kevorkian said it wasn't an instrument of death, but of deliverance. A little less than 9 months later, 54-year-old Janet Atkins took Kevorkian up on his offer. The Portland, Oregon wife and mother said Alzheimer's disease robbed her of her once prodigious abilities in tennis and music, and she wanted to die.
She knew what she was doing. She wanted to end her life. I asked her, do you know what that means? That you, she says, yes, die. You know, and, says, and that's what you want. She says, yes.
And so she became the first of at least 130 people to die with Jack Kevorkian's assistance. The man who became known as Dr. Death successfully fought off prosecution, winning acquittals in 3 separate trials for breaking Michigan's ban on assisted suicide. Indeed, he scoffed at legislation outlawing his work. He even showed up at court once dressed like Thomas Jefferson.
This is a political lynching engineered by the Inquisition.
Public opinion polls showed support for his work. But in 1998, Kevorkian's work started taking an even more unusual turn. He offered for transplant the kidney of a man he helped die. By September 1998, Jack Kevorkian said he was becoming impatient with a society that wasn't willing to publicly back him with laws legalizing his work. And he crossed a line that would become his undoing.
Are you sure you want to go ahead now?
Kevorkian didn't just help Thomas Yauk die as he'd done in previous cases. He killed the 52-year-old man who suffered from Lou Gehrig's disease himself by injecting Yauk with lethal doses of 3 drugs. Kevorkian then sent the tape to CBS's 60 Minutes, which aired Yauk's death. During the show, Kevorkian dared prosecutors to charge him, and they did, with murder 1. In the trial, Kevorkian acted as his own attorney.
Do you see what he calls a killer? If you do, then you must convict.
And lost.
One is guilty of lesser charge of second-degree murder.
In sentencing him to 10 to 25 years in prison, Judge Jessica Cooper pronounced Kevorkian's crusade over.
You had the audacity to go on national television, show the world what you did, and dare the legal system to stop you. Well, sir, consider yourself stopped.
And so the Right to Die movement's most vocal and controversial activist was led off to prison, handcuffed and silent for more than 8 years behind bars.
Any thoughts on being able to walk out today?
Kevorkian was paroled in 2007. For 2 years, he was not allowed to give details or participate in any assisted suicides. 3 days after his release, he told Larry King he would not help end any more lives.
My instinct tells me it's counterproductive. It wouldn't change anything. It would just continue the same old circus that I was through. Since the thing I didn't receive the decision that I wanted, I realized it's hopeless. So there's no sense in going on with it. It's up to others. If they want this right, they've got to get active.
He was 79 when he left prison. Kevorkian suffered chronic kidney problems, forcing multiple hospital visits. But while his body was weak, his voice remained strong for the cause. By 2010, 3 states had legalized assisted suicide, but Kevorkian protested their methods.
That's what's wrong with these laws we have now. Oregon, Montana, and Washington, that's not euthanasia. A doctor can't do it. The patient's got to take the pill himself. Now, if he can't move, he can't have it. If he can't swallow, he can't have it.
HBO, which is owned by CNN's parent company Time Warner, debuted the documentary Kevorkian in 2010, as well as an HBO movie called You Don't Know Jack. Al Pacino transformed into the Michigan doctor.
I have my first patient. What I don't have
is a place.
Yes.
And you'd like to use my home.
The then 82-year-old said he made no money from the films. As his attorney put it, Kevorkian's life was all about living without, so that others could live and die the way they wanted to.
Sacrificing going to jail, not earning a living, most of his life, money meant nothing to him. He never charged for his services, buys his clothes at Salvation Army. He's lived a life of sacrifice in every which way in order to do what he felt was for the public good and as a doctor.
Gary Tuckman, CNN.